Red Dead Redemption 2 is an action-adventure game set in 1899 and follows a group of outlaws who are trying to escape west from the encroaching threat of a government agency, who are hell-bent on bringing law and order to the land, no matter what the cost. Rockstar Studios, the developers of the game, built a large open world filled with life and crammed with many things to do and discover. In part 1, I cover the state of Ambarino, where I've managed to put together as many Easter eggs, secrets, references, and points of interests that I could find. And if you do enjoy this video and want to see part 2, then subscribe, that way you can stay up to date on all future videos I put up. Now it's time to journey into the world with Arthur Morgan and John Marston. Starting out in the cold and snowy mountains of the Grizzlies West, the first point of interest can be found near Spider Gorge, where the skeletal remains of a prehistoric mammoth can be found half buried in the snow. Next to the frozen lake at Barrow Lagoon is a coffin that has been pried open to reveal a one-legged skeleton and the nearby tombstone vandalised. What can be seen on it? Along with the newspaper clipping, the cigarette card, and the ice skates all found within the cabin, reveals that the man was an ex-Union soldier turned figure skater, who retired here after an unknown accident that lost his right leg. What is also unknown is who would desecrate his place of rest. At the peak of Mount Hagen is the preserved corpse of a Spanish conquistador, who was from an early era of European exploration into the New World. His Morian helmet can even be worn. As for the mountain's name itself, Mount Hagen is named after the actor Ross Hagen, who passed away in 2011 and was the voice of Landon Ricketts from Red Dead Redemption 1. After finishing all of the Marco Dragic side missions, you can find on a cliff west of Coulter his creation. After it killed Dragic, this robot managed to make its way westward, where it eventually began to malfunction. There's a campsite that'll appear in a random location within this region. Here, there'll be a couple that are frozen to death, who are still holding on to a mysterious map. On a closer look, it shows a particular location to go to at night, but as this revelation is found in an entirely different region and does not need to be triggered by finding this camp, I class this as a separate point of interest that can easily be missed. By following Dead Boot Creek upriver, you'll eventually find a frozen waterfall where a dead horse and its owner reside. The lockbox next to them holds the Hawk Talon trinket, which is one of many trinkets hidden all over the game that permanently boosts a part of the player's stats. Sitting on top of a hill is the body of a man who's still holding onto his carbine repeater. North of Lake Isabella is a cavern where a skeleton of a woman had died by her wagon from the cold. On this wagon is a chest that holds an ingredient used to craft a talisman, which, like the trinkets, permanently boosts a part of the player's stats. Though there is nothing to obtain from this particular location, it's still a unique discovery to be found in the world that curiously doesn't get marked in either of Arthur's or John's diaries as a point of interest. Located southeast of Spider Gorge and spread across a wide area of snow is a failed cattle drive where there are several dead animals that appear to have been left behind. South of the region, and out of the harsh snowy wilderness, you'll find at Window Rock a wall that is covered with artwork. It shows many drawings of hands, like it's trying to tell the players something important. And at the centre of it all is an image of 7 figures positioned in a circle around a bird that all relates to another point of interest I'll cover later. By exploring the world, you may discover some locations that reveal a tragic event, such as the one inside this cabin at Clawson's Rest. After breaking open the locked door, there'll be blood visible on the floor and table, empty food cans strewn everywhere, and the corpses of 2 boys by the bed. But by reading their mother's letter, it reveals that she tried to go after the men who stole their money and left them with enough provisions for a few days until she returned. It would seem that she never made it back home, but the question still remains as to what really happened to the boys. Did they simply starve to death, or did something else happen? Further along the Dakota River from Clawson's Rest is another cabin named Dodd's Bluff. When entering, 2 men can be found dead in what looks to have been a bloody fight to the death with a hammer and a crowbar. Only on further investigation of the cabin do we discover why they killed each other. Resting on the table nearby is a single gold nugget. Behind the waterfall at Granite Pass, there's a collectible Nevada hat and a letter underneath it. It's written by the stage actor Robert Elliott Patchen, the same actor found on a collectible card, who had left these items behind before seemingly jumping over the waterfall. Moving on to the Grizzlies East. This region is also mountainous, but with a more tolerable climate, covered with forests and full of secrets to discover. South of Donner Falls, there's a broken barrel with a dead woman inside at the water's edge. Posters seen around various towns promoted this event, and reveals that the woman in question was Desiree LaFlame, who attempted to go over Donner Falls in a barrel. This is based on Annie Edson Taylor, who survived a daring stunt by going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, but unlike Annie, her fictional counterpart never made it. In the middle of the region is a lake called O'Creagh's Run, which is named after John O'Creagh, the original voice actor for Uncle, before passing away during development of Red Dead Redemption 2 back in 2016. East of Donner Falls is a unique looking home with its front door locked and the window boarded up. Its design looks to be based on a Nordic turf house, one of a few references in this game to the fact that Vikings visited the New World before Columbus. It appears to have been recently lived in before it was abandoned again, and the symbol on the roof of what looks to be an image of a turtle seems to link this home to the Chelonian cult. Further up the path is a point of interest connected to the wall paintings at Window Rock. After entering a passage in the cliffs, you'll eventually appear within a small cavern with 7 statues arranged in a circle facing a strange bird-human hybrid. The hand drawings in Window Rock appear to have been a clue as to where to focus your attention on the statues, as each are holding out a certain number of fingers, and by pressing the buttons in a particular order, completing the puzzle will reward the player with 3 gold bars. Sitting at the edge of a cliff on this mountain is a meditating monk, who will remain silent even if you try to talk to him.
Don't fall off. Am I annoying you? You can hear me. Don't lose your focus.
Another tragic event can be uncovered by heading toward the mountainside north of Moonstone Pond, where a giant face of a woman is carved onto the rocks. On a closer look, there's a hung body of a man that on further inspection will have a letter on his person revealing that he was a sculptor in love with a woman that he dedicated this work for in her likeness, but at some point she left him for someone else. Off the main northern pathway is a secret hovel appropriately named Witch's Cauldron. There are a bunch of lit candles, animal meat, and a table full of bottles of unknown chemicals. A raven, found perched on a wooden beam nearby, appears to be watching the player's every move. The most disturbing thing of all are the human skeletons found here that appear to have been shackled. And drinking from the bubbling cauldron will result in the character blacking out and awakening nearby with full health. As for the occupant of the hovel, they still remain a mystery. If the player has studied at least 30 different animals for the compendium, then a special encounter can happen. By moving toward the lake near the Wapiti Indian Reservation, a flock of birds can be seen flying off and heading eastwards. If you follow them, the birds will guide you to a cave entrance that appears to have been blocked off. But by standing near to the entrance, a giant who seems to be trapped behind the boulders will converse with Arthur or John.
Hello there, friend. How are you? I'm rather lonely. You see, I'm too big. I haven't got any friends because I'm too big.
Is that so?
Yes. Yes, it is so. That's sort of why I said it. That and because I was lonely and wanted to talk. Maybe we could be friends. I've always wanted a real friend. Someone to discuss the human condition with, you know?
I don't know much about that.
Neither do I. Be well, friend. Be well.
An event can be seen by John Marston involving the Chelonian cult if he first talks to a member of the group in Saint Denis. By returning to the cliff where their leader preaches, he can be seen wearing a turtle shell and leading his group over a cliff to their deaths as they shout Chelonia.
Follow me! Follow me to Chelonia!
A nice detail in this can be found if the player jumps after the cult. If done, then John will be heard also shouting the name. At Kotora Springs, there's a circle of piled rocks that a treasure map can be found at. It's unknown whether these cairns were built by Native Americans or if it was the Vikings. Either way, it is a unique location worth checking out. South of Kotora Springs, and at the bottom of a railway bridge, is a derailed train. By searching the yellow carriage, there'll be coin and jewellery to collect. But it's the vertical carriage that has the biggest prize. By jumping into the top opening, 2 gold bars can be obtained. By heading towards a cabin called Martha's Swain, a skeleton of a woman can be found on the floor with a letter to read on the table. Written by her husband, a Confederate soldier who had started questioning his beliefs during the time a battle was going to take place against the North on a field within Scarlet Meadows, a location that will also be covered in a later entry when we discover what happened to him. As for his northern wife, Martha, it's unclear why she died. Just west of the cave with the talking giant is a stone shack named Fairvale Shanty, and like in Dodd's Bluff, 2 male corpses can be found here who appear to have killed each other in a shootout over the contents of a lockbox. Amongst the sellable items is a single gold nugget. And as a bonus for this final entry, I'll include a more general point of interest that you can find in various states. As the player progresses through the game, there'll be several graves around the map of characters that have eventually died in the story. There are 9 in total, including Arthur's himself. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video and I hope you enjoyed it. Part 2 will be released shortly, along with some more playthrough videos. So if you haven't yet and you want to see more content like this, then subscribe. So that way you can stay up to date on all future videos I put up. And as always, thanks to all of you who have subscribed and are helping to make this channel grow. So until the next video. Bye everyone.